Hello, fellow lobsters and aspiring authors. Today we have Vidya Muralidhar from North Carolina, and we are so happy to have an author who is into so much into motherhood and creative writing, and it's a different combination. So, Danya, you can take over from there to formally introduce Vidya.
Yeah, yeah. Vidya Muralidhar is a children's book author, essayist, and a teacher who lives in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mhm.
The written word has been her sacred anchor, steadying her through the journey of motherhood. It has helped her make sense of the chaos that reigns in her world, both inner and outer. Her essays on motherhood have been published in Mothers Always Right, Chicken Soup for the Soul,
Mhm.
Grown and Flown, India Currents, Infinite Thoughts, Sati, Life Positive, and Filter Free Parents. So yeah, Vidya, it has been like your intro itself is a little different from the usual intros I'm used to reading.
Mhm.
The thing is, like what what happens is it looks like you're mostly into non-fiction and self-help
Yes,
writings, and
yes,
you told us that you were a writing creative writing teacher, right?
yeah,
Yeah, let's just jump into the questions and let's just get to know your book, which will be your foremost focus, and then also about your other writings.
sure.
I
So we understand,
we're very
Vidya.
happy to have you here.
Yes, we understand that your first book was a picture book. Please tell us
Yeah.
how you thought about writing it and how it went to the publisher and who did the illustration. How was it to hold the first copy? You can please share with us about that book so we can.
Sure, Jayanti. It was
Mhm.
it was such a very cherishable moment for me holding the first book. I mean, writing has always been a part of me. I wrote my first poem when I was 6 years old. I
Okay.
never really thought I would grow up to be a writer. In fact, I graduated as a pharmacist.
Mhm.
Writing just happened, along the way because I think it's the way I naturally express myself.
Ah.
If I feel deeply about something, it's just
Mhm.
from within I have to write about it.
Mhm.
And for the longest time, I just did it for myself.
Mhm.
When my daughter was young, she had a surgery. I wrote through it. When something else happened, I wrote through that. That's why I say it anchors me, it keeps me present, it brings clarity. And it's just a part of me. I never thought I would be an author. I don't even now. It's just happening along the way. And what happened was my father-in-law and my son, they shared a very close bond. And when I watched them interact, and like it was very amazing to see that he was in his 80s and my son was like 5 and 6, and they shared similar interests, and they were similar in so many ways. So I titled the poem, that is not the name of the book. The poem was titled The Circle of Life because I saw how the beginning and the ending, we are so similar. We what matters to us is actually what life is all about, the small pleasures. So my poem was about that, and that was a time I had just joined a writing group in the library. I had just begun to share my writing with the world. Actually, until then it was just in my journal. So this was, I think, 2014 or 2015. I had just gone to the library, and I was reading it in the writers group, and one of the gentlemen said that this would make a beautiful children's book. um,
Oh.
and that's how I came upon it. But that's how the idea was sold. I just did it with, I wrote it because I felt so deeply about it, not with the intention of making it into a picture book. The idea was given by somebody else, and I was so new to the world of publishing, to the world of books, not books. I mean, I've read a lot of books, but the publishing side of it, I didn't know much. So I made every possible mistake a young author can make, or a fledgling author can make. I wasn't young then, but a fledgling author can make. I honestly didn't know. So when he said it would be a good book, I thought, okay, I need to find an illustrator. And fortunately, my childhood friend, her name is Sharon Dave, she was looking to illustrate something. So I just passed on the manuscript to her, and she illustrated it. She also did the design, the graphic, all that. We did it on Kindle. What I didn't know then was that traditional publishers don't want to see a manuscript with the illustrations, because for them, it's all about the sale. So if you're a new author, they match you with a very well-known illustrator, so that your book sells. For them, it's a product after all, right? I didn't know that. So I sent my manuscript with the illustrations to every publisher I could find, but I never heard back from anybody. And then when I was doing the research, I realized that this was the biggest mistake we had made, that we sent it out complete, that they don't want that. But my friend had done such a magnificent job of the illustrations that I didn't want it published any other way. That was one thing. Another thing was traditional publishers usually they stay away from rhyme. And my book is in rhyme. And for them, because meter and everything is so important, especially if you're a new author, I mean, if you're somebody like Dr. Seuss, they'll just take it blindly. But somebody whom they don't know, if they see your script in rhyme and they see it with the illustrations, they're not going to touch it.
Okay.
So what we did was, we did a little more research, and then we thought the easiest way to do it, or basically test the waters, is to do it through Kindle, because you're not investing too much when you do it on Kindle publishing. So that's what we did. So Kindle Direct Publishing is where we uploaded the copy, and she did the graphic designing, made it into a book. And then it was just such a simple process, actually. And what came afterwards? So the first book taught me about publishing. So I learned from my mistakes, and maybe that's why it's taking me so long, because once you know what mistakes you make, you don't want to go back to them, right? So the second book has been revised, and it's been like, I think, undergone at least 10 drafts, the second and the third book. It's still in progress. Yeah, I'm still sending it out. I've just started sending it out right now, actually.
They both are also children's books?
Yes, those are also children's books. The second one, what is happening now with publishing is a lot of traditional publishers are backed up. So they've asked me to wait for 6 to 8 months. I think with the pandemic and everything, so much has changed. So they've asked me to wait until they even manuscript. So that's where I am at right now.
You're getting a response by itself is a big thing, because we all know how publishers work. No response. That's all. We don't know. I mean, tell no at least.
Yeah.
Say, I don't want. They don't even do that. I've had many such. So then shall we talk about how your motherhood has actually helped you? Of course it has. You're in progress 2 books, so that will be 3 books in a row for children. So therefore definitely it has helped you. But tell us how it complements the motherhood and the children's book writer.
I think more than motherhood, Jayanti, motherhood got me writing. It helped. It kind of polished that bone. So the children's book, it just, because I love picture books. And I think picture books, they are like TED Talks, and I tell everybody this, like inspirational TED Talks. After 18 minutes, you feel changed, you feel like a transformed person, and picture books do the same thing to you. They have a message. They are simple, so simple, but they have the twist, and they are so profound. And I think to write a children's book, it's not easy at all. I think it's easier for me to write the essays than writing the children's books, because you have to get into their mind. You cannot be complicated, yet you have to be interesting. The kid still needs to turn the page to say, you know, what next, what next. But the beautiful thing about children is they can read the same thing over and over again. Like with adults, once you know the
Yes.
ending of something, you don't want to read it again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with them,
Mhm.
yeah, so I would say more than just being with children also, not just my own, but since I'm a creative writing coach and I teach little children whatever
Yes.
I've learned, like I'm
Yes.
more like a self-taught person.
I
So
know.
whatever I'm learning in the process, I
Yeah.
kind of dilute it, condense it, bring it down to their level,
Yes. Yes.
and just to see the way their imagination, the way their mind works,
Okay.
it fascinates me. It really fascinates
So,
me.
so
So
the creative writing workshop that you're talking about is for
yeah,
children.
it's for children. It's for
Oh,
children. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another
Because
experience altogether, because I do conduct, but they're mostly for adults. So
yeah,
understand.
no, mine
Yes.
is for children. And I think it's like more like a mission, because I think writing has been so healing for me, Jayanti. It has gotten me through the, you know, toughest times in my life. And I feel it's a tool we can pass on to children. When I see, especially when I see kids who are, I mean, language development is a problem these days because of the internet, because they're so used to getting everything is shortcut and everything is instant gratification, right?
Yes.
um
Yes.
but I feel writing is such an important tool. It helps you in so many different ways, and
Yes.
that is more like a mission for me to pass on something that I have, like a gift that has been given to me. I
Lovely.
feel if I can pass it on to younger children and they have it, I think it would really help them with, you know, the
Beautiful.
anxiety, the
Beautiful.
mental
I
health
love that.
illness. Yeah.
So, have
So
you come across any promising uh, creative child in your workshops? Any
many,
potential,
Jayanti.
and have they gone into really writing a book, illustrating, you know?
I think I started with a handful of kids,
Okay.
but right now what I've done is, because you know, there is no publishing platform for children,
Kindle is
right?
there,
So
no?
Kindle, no, apart from Kindle, I'm talking about something.
Pri-
See, if you publish
Print.
on Kindle,
Mm.
I don't want kids to get into the marketing aspect of it, right? Because when you
Mm.
publish, like, we spend so much, whether you're traditionally published or,
Mm. Mm.
you know,
Mm.
self-published, the
Mm.
marketing is sucks up your energy after, right? And
I know,
I
we
don't
know.
want, you have to be on social media, you have, and those are things I don't want kids to get into. So not right now, because most of the kids I work with are in the age group of 10 to 15. So
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
feel they're too young to get into that part of it. So rather than Kindle and a book, I was looking for platforms that will publish their essays, their short
Okay.
stories, give
Okay.
them a voice. So
Yeah.
India Currents is now, I'm working with India Currents, and they are
Hmm.
publishing some of the work of my kids.
Children.
Every month they feature a story
Oh,
of,
lovely.
Mm.
yeah, so
Mm.
that way the kids get a boost. More people
Yeah,
read their
yeah, of
writing. It's
course.
not just me.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
and yeah, so and I publish their work on my website too,
Mm,
Oh,
mm,
just so
mm.
that, just to give them that little boost. It's just like that
Yes.
little carrot, but I don't want them to get into the social media aspect of it. They're too young,
Yeah.
and
yes.
I think it takes away from
Understood.
the creativity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's very important. Yes, very thoughtful. Yes. Uh,
Yeah.
it is.
So,
Mm.
yeah. So you had told us that it was a poem that got converted into your book, right? It was yeah. So what is the difference between converting a story into an illustration book and a poem? Because it will basically read like a rhyme.
It
If
reads
it
like
has,
a rhyme. It
so
has to
yeah.
flow. So
Hmm.
the thing with picture books or any story is your illustrations and the writing have to complement each other, right? So what I didn't know, which I learned from my first book, fortunately it was a poem, so I didn't have to do much. But while writing my first book and while doing the research, what I realized was, the author has to write very little. The illustrations have to show more. Like
Mm.
if there is something in the writing
Mm.
and the illustration, they don't like it, it doesn't really complement.
Okay.
So, you know, so they're like, they have to fit like a puzzle. You have to turn the page at the right moment. You have to, so,
Okay, so
but
much.
because mine was a poem,
Mm.
it naturally followed different scenes. Like I
Okay.
didn't have to think in my mind that what this page, this sentence, this scene, and turn what is the scene, what should I write. I didn't have to do that. So it
Mm.
Mhm.
was easy because it was a poem,
Mm.
and because it naturally spoke about different scenes
Mm. Mm.
as
Mm.
part of the poem.
Mm.
But with the second book, I tried both. I
Mm.
tried knowing that they don't like rhyme.
Mm.
Traditional publishers, I tried even writing it as a story,
Mm.
but
Mm.
it didn't feel true because it came to me naturally as a poem.
Mm.
So I did work on it. I worked many months on it. I kept, changing, but then I felt it's okay. I'll give the poem a shot. If the traditional publishers don't want it, I'll do it. I self-publish the poem, because that's a message that's very important to me too. It's about beauty. It's for young,
Mhm.
it's actually young girls as well as boys. I wouldn't just say girls,
Mhm.
but
Yes.
it talks about how we spend so much time looking into the mirror and saying, oh, my nose is not okay, my color is not okay, this is not okay, that is, but all your features have been given. They're a gift, and it's like your grandmother's nose is sitting on you, or your father's smile you have. So if you look in
Yeah.
the mirror and you see that, instead of
Mm.
actually seeing just the external appearance, if you see that you are
Yes.
made up of so much beauty in so many relations,
Mhm.
then you look at yourself a whole new way. So that
Mm.
message was very, very important to me. And so I really want that book out. So I'm going to wait for a few months. I've sent the manuscript out as a poem. If I don't hear from them, I'll go ahead and do what I did with the first book, self-publish.
Mm.
But
So,
yeah,
see, because you've been used to writing nonfiction,
yeah.
there'll be elements of a poem, at least for the sake of the rhyme, or at least for the sake of it,
Mm-hmm,
to being more emphasized, you're going to have
mm-hmm,
to add elements of fiction, right?
mm-hmm.
You're, even if it's not fiction, you'll at least have to add elements of exaggeration.
You do.
So,
And I do that even in my essays, Dhanya. I don't think it is wrong. I mean, to make writing interesting, it's okay to add a little, to fictionalize a little. I mean, as long as the sentiment is true, I may not be fabric. Like the second book is actually, it's fiction.
Mm.
completely fiction,
It's
yeah.
based on two girls. Like one is a princess and the other is a peasant girl. So it's fiction. So yeah, you do have to, it could be both. Like the first one, Grandpa and Ray,
Mm.
is also, I wouldn't, it's based on my father-in-law and my son, but there are elements of fiction in that too.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that is
So,
there even in my essays. I do that.
so where do you
Interesting.
draw that line? My question is going to, like, where do you
That's what
draw
I'm
that
saying.
line of fiction and non-fiction?
I as long as the essence of the plot is right,
Mm.
I do, like I had written my essay that got published for Chicken Soup for the Soul. That was a performance. That was something, that was an epiphanic moment I had when I was watching my daughter's performance. So I did add a little elements of some things, like the number of people there, or maybe the stage, the description,
Mhm.
those kind of things. I did have to exaggerate some of those elements so that the reader was able to visualize themselves there, right, in that place. So
But
yeah,
but again, you will add illustrations as well, right, Vidya?
yeah.
Yeah.
For the
And
picture books,
talking about illustration, I just got a flash of a question here.
Mm-hmm.
You said you have to make sure the illustration is saying something different from what is. I mean, it's not written there. Written visualization only comes in the illustration is kind of boring, isn't it? It's not making the child think more. It
More
should
than
be
the
something.
child, more than the child, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the illustrator, Jayanti. When
Okay.
I go to these workshops, I'm part of this SCWI, the Society for Children's Writing and Publishing.
Okay.
So what they say is the author, because
Mm.
you have to let the illustrator also put in their work, their imagination.
Okay.
So you cannot give them too many notes.
Okay.
Like if you write something, you cannot tell them how a character looks
Mm.
or it should be like this. Like if they think that a brown character or an African American character can carry the story well, they might probably do that. You
Mm.
cannot tell them that my character should look like this, should look like that. So you
It's
have to leave a
restricting
lot to their,
yes, it's
yeah, you
restrictions.
cannot restrict their creativity, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why there has to be that's why it's not easy, because when
Mm.
you write, you have a vision,
Mm. Okay,
right? And you write
talking
with
of
that.
that, Illustrator has done one picture, and the same page has this text. You will
Mhm.
review, right? You will review. And do you suggest changes, saying it is too much out of what I've written, or do you say it has improved what I have written? How do you both work together? Because I'm
Okay.
sure
So
there
if
are
because
aspiring authors out there, they will really
Mhm.
benefit from what you share here.
Yes, Ma. See, I'll tell you that if it is a traditional publisher, once you've sent the manuscript and you've accepted it, it's out of your hands. There's not too
Hmm.
much comment
You
you can
cannot
give.
do.
You
Oh,
cannot, because they have a team working on it.
okay, okay.
And they probably see, and they know better for you from the marketability and the sales. They are
Hmm.
experts in that. They know what
Okay,
sells. So
okay.
sometimes we hold on to certain visions that
Yes,
might not actually sell,
yes,
that may or
yes.
may not sell.
Yeah.
So it's all up to you.
Mm.
Like with the first book, because it was my childhood friend, because we are so close, because we were so much in sync,
Mm-hmm.
that she just knew what I wanted.
Mm.
There was not too much. But if I ever work with another illustrator, if it's self-published, I think we would have to go back and forth on that. If
Yes,
it's something very different from what I envision, I will have to give my, because we both have to be happy with the end product, right?
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
for me, more than the sales, it's
Mhm.
like getting my message across.
Yes.
Yes.
So, so, I think I would definitely like giving
Participate
my
in that.
opinion to be an equal participant in the process.
Okay, suppose a very big publisher comes for your
Mhm.
second or third book, and you have no say in the illustration, and you know it is going to be only saleability for them, and you can understand. But when the illustrations come, you can
Mhm.
see why they have done this to sell. Okay, I'm okay for sales. Sales also is important, but you don't somehow have that, what to say, you say the soul of, or the essence of what you had
Of the
written
book.
is missing here. What will you do?
Mhm. That's a good question, Jayanti. So, but it's hypothetical. I haven't even gone there
Yeah,
yet.
hypothetically, I'm
uh,
speaking.
I guess it depends on how much how much of it. See, if it's still getting the message across,
Mm,
the message that I so badly want to share with young girls and boys, if it's getting it across well,
mm.
I think I would be okay with it.
You,
I wouldn't cling on to that, oh, the princess has to look this way, or the peasant has to look, or the palace has to look. I'm okay with all those things.
okay,
But
okay.
the message, I don't think they can change that. If
Yeah.
that gets tweaked, yes, then I think I would definitely not be happy.
Understand, yes.
So,
It's so
But
difficult, huh? This illustrated books. Oh my
it
goodness.
is. It's
So
not
much,
easy,
so
Ma.
complex.
It is very complex. It's not easy. And also for adults to think in that way, like a child.
Yeah,
See,
of course.
yeah,
You have to think like a child. The
because
words and the choice of words are so
the
important.
choice, it
I
has to be
know.
simple.
I
It has to
know.
flow.
Yes. Yeah.
so
So,
you said the first book was inspired by your own family, like your own son and the
yeah.
grandmother. So, what was the inspiration behind the second book, which talks about a princess and the peasant? And like, did you have Was it like, see, there is this trend of, beauty not being just the outer beauty, and
Mhm.
this is very, it's become very mainstream these days. So many people are writing about, so many people are talking about it. How do you think your book is different from the lot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I guess I haven't, I mean, a lot of people, yes, body shaming is big right now. That is something we really need to teach our kids. But I think the way my book is different is I don't think anybody else talks about the, the family part of it.
Mhm.
Like it as an inheritance, as a gift that has been given to you by your family.
Mm.
You know, so that
Yeah.
perspective I have not seen, even though I have read many books on that, and many books that say that you be happy with who you are. What matters is your inner, your inner soul, more than this. But this aspect is something I haven't really read about in other books.
And because see, what I'd like to build upon is that because it's a kid's book, right? It is not
Mm-hmm,
like a teenage or a
mm-hmm,
adolescent's book. Usually these thoughts come to us when we are around that age. When we are around 12 is when body shaming, uh, obvious body shaming happens. Maybe as a kid, like people would have called you fat, or like would have called you,
mm-hmm,
like especially in Indian households, they would have called you dark skinned, very like
mm-hmm.
very casually. They would,
It
and then
begins very early on, Dhanya. Like we don't realize, but society, those imprints of society begin very early on in life, and
Especially in the
that is the
diverse
pattern.
communities.
Yeah,
In diverse communities, it is earlier. Yes.
it is earlier. I mean, I remember that for the longest time growing up, I I have parents, my brother, so like I had received so much love. I had such a beautiful childhood, but I did grow up somewhere with that feeling that, I'm not tall, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
fair,
Mm.
so maybe I'm not
good
beautiful
enough.
in the traditional
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm. 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 Mm.
fortunately, because I think that love that I got from my parents, that didn't destroy my soul,
Mm.
but
Mm.
I
So
think
you
if I
think that,
didn't have that,
huh?
Mm.
and if I had these things coming in from society, and I did not have the love that I got in my childhood, I think it would have happened earlier. I would have probably realized it, but the imprint would have been there from a young age,
So
you
you
know.
think an young mind would be, open enough to take in such ideas because
They
we're too
are,
young to
they are.
contemplate, right?
No, ma, you'll be amazed at some of the things, even in my writing classes. I mean, of course, I deal with 9, 10 years, starting with 9, 10, 11. But they have an opinion, they have a vision, they have ideas. They observe, they're so astute, they know exactly where the adults are going wrong. There is a very in my writing groups, there is one question I love asking them, that if you were what are the three, like we always tell kids should be like this, like this, like this, right? So as a child, what how would you like what qualities would you like to see in your parent? And some of the things they come up with are
Mm.
brilliant. That's
Mm.
why I love working with them, and that's how I realize that they're so they think so much. We think they
Mhm.
don't,
Mhm.
that they're just kind of just doing, but no, they absorb, they're like sponges, and
Share
they
with
have
us,
an opinion on
No, I
Vidya,
everything.
absolutely
about
understand
what
because
the
this is a
children.
preteen.
Sorry. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely understand that because 9, 10, 11 or preteens, they would have formed that thought process. They would have already, understood what their parents are about. And there are so many, like, especially in diverse societies, they've seen broken families, they've seen their parents fighting, they know how the family dynamics work. But
Mhm.
what, because yours is a picture book, right?
Picture
So
book,
it's so,
but picture books also can be, it's
mhm.
not necessary that you stop reading them at 7,
Yes,
right? Because
most of us do
see,
so.
one very important thing is, picture books, I think, that leave an impression that you would like to see on your nightstand, that you would like to see on your bookshelf forever,
Absolutely.
are those which also adults, when they read, transform them,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
It's
Mm.
not
Yes,
just
yes, so
about
much.
it's not just about making the child, entertaining the child. because it's the adult who is buying and reading the book to them.
Exactly. That is what I wanted you to. I mean,
Yeah.
I
the
want
point
to
that
know. I
excites you.
want to know what feedback you got for your first book from children. I will really want to know that, and um, of course the parents of the children, all the feedbacks that you got, because it's about the way our face looks, how we got
No.
from.
That one is not yet out, Jayanti.
So
okay. That is the second book.
Okay.
That is the second book.
Okay, let's talk about the first book, how it was received by the children and the parents.
The children, actually, they loved the rhyme. They loved the illustrations, the simplicity of it, because it spoke about story time between my son and my father-in-law. It spoke about how they went for long walks. So they could see themselves doing that. So kids really loved it. And at the end of, and the reason that Adasi, at the end of the book, I had a page where kids could fill in their memories with their grandparents. So those things, the parents and the children really loved filling those things in together also. So even though I know that traditional publishers say that rhyme doesn't work, and I know it was not perfect rhyme, Jayanti. There were like a few places, maybe the meter was not a few places, maybe one place. Like probably it was not perfect. But kids don't hear. So
sometimes imperfection places add some kind of raw beauty.
Yeah. Raw beauty, and the kids didn't see it that way. They were just so happy that it rhymed, and they were so happy with, like, if I have a book, if I can, I could quickly show you like some of the
maybe
the illustrations
in the next session. Yes,
in the next session, when I'll get the book out and I'll show it to you guys. But I mean, there is one line in which when I talk about ants marching in rhythm, and my friend has shown the grandpa and the little son looking at the ants, and it is just so beautiful. So the way she has done it, so kids, they really loved it. They really loved it.
This is lovely.
Beautiful. And like you rightly pointed out, that was exactly the point I was trying to pull out of you, that we all, when we look at, mostly when a person looks at a children's book, they think it's a book for the children. It's basically a book for the parents. It's the person who reads it that is going to interpret it and maybe explain it to the child. The child is not going to sit and read it like for the first time at least. Maybe the third time, the fourth time, the child is going to scroll through the pages. But it's basically a book for the parents, and they're just going to make it a little fun for the kids to listen to. Not understand, but to listen. So I think that's maybe the reason, because you made it a rhyme. The kids
rhyme works for that, right? Rhyme works for that purpose. Yes.
Yeah, they would have been more attracted towards it.
Yes.
Than just writing like lines and stuff which you don't think and you don't like it. So that would have, it would have clicked in them. That maybe.
So I mean, I think that was the best way to go.
Yes.
Sorry, Dana, I didn't mean to cut you off. But you're right. I mean, I think the kids really, really love the rhyme.
That is the thing. Like everything has to have a pioneer. Like just because traditional publishers do not prefer rhyme doesn't make it wrong. It just makes you're just gonna work out what works for you. So
what works.
Yes. So how was it to get reviews, like for adult books? People who read the book are going to come write reviews, and your book, because it will be, like I said, it will be more the parents' perspective than the kids when they're writing them, because parents are going to keep writing your reviews. So how was the reviewing process, and has that helped in furthering your sales?
More than the reviews, I got very good reviews from the parents, like wherever. But I think more than reviews, having author events in schools, like I went to schools, that was before the pandemic. So after that, the sales dropped because I really could not do much. But going out, going to schools, reading the books, going to different other events, reading the books, that's what brought the sales in. And then the people wrote reviews. But I wouldn't say just the reviews sold the books.
Further. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because you, like you said, you cannot use social media for the promotion because the kids are not going to see it, right? You're going to,
Its parents are going to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Parents are
So
going to
how
see it.
did that, like, did social media help at all, or?
Social media definitely helped, Ma, because even when I started my writing journey, it was because
Yeah,
there
thank
is
you, Vidya.
one
Thank you
question
for
that I think you missed. I just want to ask that question, and I read it anyways.
Sure.
In Vidya. So, how does the editing process for a children's book go about? Like, because even if it's self-published,
just like a normal book, Ma.
Mhm.
Just.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I got it right. I mean, there is an editor. There is somebody here who edits books. So I ran it by her. Whether it's self-published or traditional, it has to go through the editing process, because once your work is out in the world, it's out. You don't want it to go there with mistakes, right?
This editor
it
is
does not matter.
specialized in children's
No, Ma.
books?
No, she's not specialized in children's books. She takes creative writing workshops. She
Okay.
works with adults too, on their projects and
Okay.
everything. So
Okay.
I did work with
Okay.
her
and
before. Yeah.
how long
And
do
I did
you
run it
usually
by,
take to write a
a
book?
few.
How long does writing one children's book take? Usually, like approximately how long does it take for you?
See, the first draft can sometimes be done in a few hours, but whether that's ready, like the second book, I think I wrote the first draft of the poem in 2016, Ma. And then I tried making it into a storybook, and that didn't work. Then I went back. Then when I went for this, I did give it to people. When I went for the SCWI workshops, you're allowed to give your manuscript for them to review, for the panel of judges, and not judges, actually they are editors, agents, and they give you feedback on what works. And I went to 2 such conferences, and I tried to incorporate whatever feedback I got. So all that took a while, and then the pandemic struck, so everybody's like, hold on. I mean, not that books are not getting published, but I think for new authors to make a foray into the traditional publishing thing is not easy. And especially, I think, because children's books, they cost more, right, with the illustrations.
Yes.
So it is, so at least the children's book publishers I've spoken to, 2 or 3 of them have said, we're not currently taking any new manuscripts, so wait for some time.
So we never knew there was such a long process involved in a children's book, and very happy that we got to know this today from
It is.
LOL is very, very happy to have gotten this is the beauty of a writing community and a group of people, like-minded people, like you said, because
It is.
you take ideas off each other, and sometimes it might work for your benefit. And I hope that people who have never tried writing a children's book which is based on a poem try it. And if they had never had this idea, they'll just take it up from here. Yeah. Thank you, Vidya. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Danya. Thank you so much, Jayanti. Such a pleasure to be here in the morning. I'm sure the rest of my day is going to go well.
Have a good day.
Such smiling
Keep writing.
faces.
Keep
I'm just stopping the recording.
enjoying your
Thank you so
writing.
much. Ma. Thank you. Thank you.
All the best.
Okay.
1 minute. I'm just stopping the recording.
Okay.
Okay, the question was, how did social media help, and did it help your book?
How did social media help my book? Oh, yes. It helped because it's got the word across. When you're in the US. So in India also, we got the book. In India, of course, we didn't publish it on Kindle because at that time, Kindle publishing version. See, for kids, the ebook doesn't really sell. You need the physical copy of the book, and Kindle didn't have that then. What landmark stores, they had copies of our book. And so getting the word across, getting the word across to many people, even in the US, right? Apart from in-person events. talking to other schools, talking to friends, having interviews, all this you can only do through social media. So that really, yeah, social media, yes, it helped. Though I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm not really a social media person, but yeah, it's something if you want to get your message across, I think you need to do it
That
to
is
the best. I mean,
best way
some-
these days.
the best
We
way
like
you
it or
can.
not, it is the best way nowadays.
It is
So-
the best
The
way.
only way.
And you can't let it, I mean, you can't
I
grudge it.
don't
or,
like it, but I am
Yeah.
there in those.
and you do it to the best. I mean, you pick one and you pick and choose your battles, right? You don't have to do everything that every author does.
You have the
But
book with you now.
You
Show
cannot
us.
shy away from it completely.
Yes. Do you have the book with you now?
I do.
Show us.
I do.
Yes.
This is the
show.
book.
Oh, so sweet. Grandpa and
This is
Ray.
the book.
Lovely.
Yeah. Grandpa and Ray.
That is
And
so professional illustration.
the
Pleasing
illustrations are
to the eyes.
magnificent.
So beautiful. Lovely.
And this is my favorite page where
Ah.
they're watching. The two of them are watching the ants.
So
And she had these little things here
Yes.
also, drawings on
So
every
sweet.
page. Yeah.
Maybe
And
just to get the feel of the rhyme, could you please read out a little one, or maybe half a page of
sure. I can read this one
Yes,
itself.
please.
This page. It says, "Time stood still as they gazed in awe, as wondrous nature around them they saw, in shades of colors from purple to teal, or ants that marched in rhythm with zeal." So
Mhm.
that was one.
The
And
illustrations are so cute.
very
Even
cute.
the book cover
Very
is very
sweet.
sweet. And
So-
this is for the age group. Can you just
This
tell us
is for
what
4 to 7.
4 to
Yeah.
7? Grandpa and Ray.
The Adventures
Okay.
of Grandpa
Mm.
and Ray.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Lovely.
see, there is a particular way, the look and feel of a children's book has to be like the GSM of the paper has to be a little thick, and it has to be a little sturdy. The book shouldn't be all flimsy like a novel, adult fiction book, and the paper should be a little thick, and the colors. Like they usually use pastel colors for children's book to make it a little more pleasant on their eye, and there is a particular font that usually children writers use. Did you go by this? Did you just research about all this before you went on to publishing it as a paperback, or did you just go with it? Did you just pick a font and think, okay,
My
this is
friend did my
okay.
friend did the research, because she was the one she was the one doing the illustrations, and she was the one uploading it on Kindle, the
Layout also,
illustration,
right? Okay.
the layout. So
Uh-huh.
she did, yeah, she definitely
Mhm.
did. Because she has been in the, I mean, she has not illustrated big
Mhm.
books before, but she has been doing, she knows about graphic design and
Oh.
all those things. So I left
Okay.
it to her.
Mm.
I really don't know much about
Mm.
those kind of things. So
Did she
yeah,
give
so
you
I left,
one or two samples first before proceeding, or did she give all together?
no, she gave me the drawings as in when she was doing it.
Did you suggest changes, or how much?
Not with this book, because it was
Okay.
it was even better than what
What
I
you had
envisioned it to
imagined?
be.
No, it happens. Yeah.
I
Lovely.
did
Mm.
not have to tell her anything. In fact,
Mm.
it was perfectly in sync. That's what made it so easy.
That's
Mm.
So how was
Maybe
the
we should
transition?
invite her as an illustrator.
Yes, we have to.
to
We can
LOL as a
invite
guest
her.
speaker very soon. Yes. You should please connect us.
Sure,
okay?
sure, ma'am,
Mm.
sure.
Yes.
So how was
I
the
will do that.
transition? Because see, I understand your need to continue with children's book, but by nature, before you started
Mhm.
children's book, you were a non-fiction self-help writer, like essays, self-help writer. How was it? See, was it like a very organic transition? Or did you were you just like tired of writing for adults and you just wanted to explore the inner child in you and stuff?
Probably. It just happened organically, Danya. I did not put any effort into it. The poem came to me, and that I need to convert this. I can do this into a children's book. That idea was given to me by somebody else, and that's how it happened. So I don't think I'll ever get tired of writing for adults
Mhm.
because I said it's just an extension of who I am.
Of
It's
that,
just the way I express myself. So
talking of
yeah.
that, we have to talk about the essays you wrote.
Mhm.
What kind of essays are they, and are you planning to compile them as a book? Maybe you want to share with us?
Sure. I haven't really thought, I mean, I have been thinking about getting the essays together in a book, but I've
Mhm.
also noticed that my style has been like, I wouldn't say the style has been changing, but um, the theme, there is the recurring theme is motherhood, but there are also a lot of other things that I write about, right? Like if there is
Seasonal, right?
during the elections when there was so much
Yeah,
going on
yeah,
here,
yeah. Less, yeah.
2016, I wrote essays on that. So it's just as I'm learning, um, you know,
Mm.
so now when I look back at some of the essays, I feel I have grown so much more
Of
now
course, that's good
than
to
I
know.
did then as a person too,
Mm.
not just as a writer,
Mhm.
but as a
Mhm.
person too. So I still don't know how to combine those, the old
Thematic,
and the
you
new.
must
Maybe you
go
have to
for
rework.
thematic compilation,
Yeah.
or
So
and essays from the beginning, and essays.
from the,
Next book should be those that
yeah,
you wrote after
Oh,
you've matured as a writer.
yeah,
Yeah.
that will
probably.
be more
But
Yes.
I'm
authentic, right?
also
Instead of you know, like
it
look,
will be
it'll
more
show
authentic.
shades of you, like what people usually, when a person is self-help writer, what the readers usually think is that they have their life figured out, that they have a very, like a perfect life and they know what they're doing. That's not the truth, right? It can never be. No one has their life so figured out
That's
that they're,
not true
yeah.
at all.
So
That's not true.
yes,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
evolution through writing.
Yeah.
What people see is your revolution in writing, but they don't see the evolution through you as a person have gone through as
Of
you write.
course.
So that will be
Of the
more
person
beautiful.
behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful to read that if you can
I think
compile it
that's a
into a book.
great
Yes,
idea,
yes,
Dhanya.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
So
yes.
That's a
make it a
beautiful,
book of,
that's a beautiful.
you can actually make it like a book of your evolution through writing, an author's evolution through writing, or an essay's evolution through writing. So it'll show shades of you, shades of your writing, shades of you as a human.
How you
I
grew.
think
Yes, yes.
that's such a brilliant idea. Thank you so much. I think I'll definitely think about that one.
Lovely, lovely.
Definitely. Thank you.
Mm.
So yeah,
So,
I have one more
what
question, and
have
then
you?
I think we can go on to World of W's. My
Sure.
last question is,
Yes.
see, usually, like I said, this help. What happens is, there may be two reasons a person. I think there may be two reasons a person writes a self-help. One, maybe they are too idealistic and they just are tired of the world not being that way. So they are like, they are like, it's basically us giving advice to ourselves and the people around us, and like writing about it. That is one way of self-help. The other can be an exercise in self-help, which can be like an open self-help,
Sharing.
an essay where you make the person introspect within themselves through an exercise, or like through like putting just an idea and not giving them a conclusion or a solution. So which type of self-help do you write, and what do you think about self-help?
You do.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I can only share, I can only be vulnerable about what I have learned, Tanya.
Mm,
I'm not even saying that just because I've written it, somebody will transform. Because
correct.
that transformation is in their own hands,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So I'm just being open about what I'm going through. So it just, I said, for me it's more a sort of, it's, I'm just expressing, helps me make sense of my own thoughts, brings clarity to my mind, grounds me, it anchors me, it helps me understand myself better. So I'm just sharing this, and if they take it as self-help, it's okay.
Definitely,
If they look at it
there
as
will
my
be
journey, that's okay
takeaways
too.
for definitely readers take away
Yeah.
something or the
And
other.
it's just the
Yes.
connection, because what I realized was, see, I was just writing what I'm going through, but motherhood is so universal. It really didn't matter you know, who your child is, where you come from, the emotions many people can relate to.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All mothers can relate to. So I think writing gives me some, I get so much more back from writing than the reader does, I think. That is just bonus for
That's
me.
a beautiful
So when I started
truth.
writing, I just said that even if one person reads it, I'll be
Yeah.
okay. You know, I don't really expect, there are no expectations from the reader's side, but I've gotten so much more. And I don't ever want to write thinking about the reader, because then it will not be my authentic learning and my journey,
True.
right? So that is something I don't want to do. So that's something I don't
Stay
think
that
about.
way. That's how
So
it should be.
So yeah,
Nice,
now
nice.
I think it's time for Word of W's. Word of W is nothing but W questions like what, when, where, and all that. And if a listener couldn't sit through the entire session, they could just scroll down here and listen to the last part and get a gist of what we've discussed through the session.
sure.
So, what is your next work? What is your next? What is your book which is going to be published, or what is the next work which is going to be out?
It's about two girls, and the theme is on how they can learn, how they learn about beauty. So the story of a princess is, you know, how she learns about how she is beautiful, not just because of the way she looks, but because of everything that she has in her life. So that is my next book.
Okay.
There's a third book that
Okay.
I'm writing. It's about a girl that is halfway done. That's not complete yet, but a young girl who comes out of her comfort zone. So
these
that
two
is,
books, when are they planned to be
the
published?
second book is ready, Ma. The manuscript is ready. The third I'm still working on, so I haven't sent it out yet.
Okay, okay.
So,
Right.
so why
So,
just children
yeah.
book and self-help? Can we see fiction, or can we see like different genres out of it? Do you have any plans of it?
Oh, I do write short stories, Dhanya. I do write short stories too. My blog has short stories also. But it's not that I'm intentionally writing a particular thing. Whatever I feel like writing, I write. So I sometimes write poetry. I sometimes write short stories. So I have my short stories have been published in Kitab. Kitab is in Singapore. So I had, so I have written short stories too. It's just that they don't form the majority of my writing is not fiction. And I think I've not thought about it. Maybe at some point of time I might write a fiction book, but I still feel I have a lot to learn as a writer before I go into the book, writing a novel. And so, yeah. So it might happen sometime. I'm not
It's
right now. I'm
okay.
focusing
It
on the
will
craft.
happen.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, what do you want to tell our aspiring authors out there? Any message that you will?
Yeah, I would tell them just to keep writing, because as I said before, I think it's going to give you so much more than what it gives the world, and that's what the world needs right now.
Lovely.
So
good, nice message.
And just to believe, just keep believing, and it's okay. I mean, it's always the process. Then they say, right? The process is more important,
of course,
than the destination. So
yes. That's lovely. So, what do you feel about this recording? I mean,
I enjoy talking to people actually. So connecting, and when you connect with like-minded people, yeah, I mean, another thing that's just coming to me is as you evolve as a person, or maybe we could put it both ways, that you evolve as a writer and you evolve as a person, faculties that are working for you to actually put those thoughts out on paper. So that's why I think that is something a lot more people need to do.
You love to meet people, and I can see it. You woke up so early.
Yeah.
It was so nice to get your
I
email.
love connecting.
That
and so
enthusiasm
nice.
I immediately went to the shower to get ready. Yeah.